let's simplify this imaginary number. Okay, we know it has a negative under the radical, so it's going to be an imaginary number. And when we take that negative out, we're going to get an I, which is the imaginary unit. So the first thing we want to do is, let's split it up. Call it the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 216. Okay, and now this part, the square root of negative 1, I know that that's going to be I. That's the imaginary unit. But look at the square root of 216. Do I know the square root of 216? I come look over here at my squares. I'm looking around 216. Do I know the square root of 216? No, I don't. But can I simplify it? Yes, I can. So when I start looking at which one of these squares goes into 216, I'm going to find out that 4 goes in there. I'm going to find out that 9 also goes in there. So if I know that the square root of 4 is 2 and the square root of 9 is 3, well, 2 times 3 is 6. You know what? I'm going to find out that the square root of 36 goes into 216. Okay? And the square root of 36 is 6. So this is my largest radical. So I'm going to break it up into square root of 36. And you divide 216 divided by 36 is 6. So now, instead of using 4 and 9, look at this. Now I have the square root of 36. So this is I, square root of 36 is 6, and then square root of 6. And then remember, we write it like this. 6I square root of 6. Okay, if that makes sense, you can stop here. You're done. Let me show you if you didn't see that, if you did it the other way. If you're looking at the square root of 216 times the square root of negative 1, square root of negative 1 is I. Let's say 216 is 4 times 9 times 6. Okay, the square root of 4, that's 2. Square root of 9, well, that's 3. And then the square root of 6. So we're still going to have the same thing. 2 times 3 is 6. Then the I, and then the square root of 6. You'll get the same thing either way. So it's better to get this larger number by itself under the radical. But if you don't get it, if you don't see that, you could try a 4, you could do a 9, you'll get the same thing.